The Grand Meridian Estate sits on 47 acres of pristine coastline with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Pacific. It's the kind of venue that gets featured in luxury wedding magazines, where tech CEOs and movie producers get married, where a Saturday in June costs more than most people make in a year. I stood in the marble foyer, wearing a simple navy dress I'd bought on sale 3 years ago, holding a small wrapped gift. Around me, 200 guests in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos sipped champagne that cost $300 a bottle. My sister Vanessa looked like a fairy tale. Her dress was custom Vera Wang, probably $40,000. Her hair was swept up in an intricate style that had taken 3 hours and 4 stylists. Diamond earrings, her fiancé Marcus's gift, sparkled under the crystal chandeliers. She saw me from across the room. Her smile froze. "Oh," she said loudly enough for the nearby guests to hear. "You actually came." I walked over, gift in hand. "Congratulations, Vanessa. The venue is beautiful. It should be. It cost a fortune. But you wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" She looked me up and down, her lip curling slightly. "Is that the same dress you wore to Mom's birthday last year?" "Yes, mm." She took a sip of champagne. "Well, I suppose we can't all marry investment bankers." Marcus appeared at her side, tall and handsome in his Tom Ford tuxedo. He looked at me the way you'd look at something unpleasant. You'd stepped in. "Vanessa, darling, your mother is asking for you." "Of course." She turned back to me. "The gift table is over there. Try not to touch anything expensive." They walked away, Vanessa's laugh echoing across the reception hall. I set my gift on the tabla set of picture frames ID carefully wrapped hand, found my assigned seat. Table 18 in the far back corner, partially hidden behind a decorative pillar. The table was half empty. The other occupants were distant cousins I'd met maybe twice, and an elderly aunt who was already asleep in her chair. Table uno, where my parents sat with Vanessa's new in-laws, was front and center, bathed in perfect lighting. I could see Mom's profile, her hand gesturing animatedly as she laughed at something Marcus's father said. The waiters began serving dinner. Truffle-crusted salmon, lobster risotto, gold-dusted desserts. At table uno, they got their plates first, with extra garnishes and the sommelier personally pouring their wine. At table 18, we got our plates last. My salmon was cold. "Excuse me," I said quietly to a passing waiter. "Could I?" "We're very busy, ma'am," he said without stopping. I ate the cold salmon and didn't complain. After dinner, the speeches began. Marcus's father talked about legacy and family traditions. Mom talked about her baby girl finally finding her perfect match. Daddy's voice cracked when he talked about watching Vanessa grow from a little girl into this beautiful woman. Nobody mentioned me. Not once. I was the invisible daughter, the disappointing sister, the family member who didn't quite fit the narrative they wanted to tell. Then, Vanessa stood up for her own speech. She thanked everyone for coming, for celebrating the most important day of her life. She thanked her parents for their love and support. She thanked Marcus's family for welcoming her so warmly. "I also want to thank our wedding planner, Rebecca, for finding this absolutely perfect venue," Vanessa said, her voice carrying across the hushed room. When we were looking at locations, I told her we needed somewhere that reflected our status, our taste, our vision for our future. "Somewhere that would separate us from ... double quotes." She paused, her eyes finding me in the back corner. "From people who don't understand what it means to have real class." Polite laughter rippled through the crowd. "Because let's be honest," Vanessa continued, warming to her theme. "Success is about choices. It's about choosing the right schools, the right career, the right partner. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to settle." She looked directly at me now. "Some people are satisfied with mediocrity. They're content working their little jobs, living in their little apartments, never aspiring to anything more. And that's fine. But that's not us. That's not who we are, more laughter." Louder this time. Marcus raised his glass. "To refusing to settle. To refusing to settle." The crowd echoed. I took a sip of water. My hands were steady. That surprised me. My phone buzzed in my purse. A text from my property manager, David, watching the security feed. "Say the word," I typed back. Not yet. Vanessa wasn't done. She gestured around the magnificent space. I mean, look at this place. This is what happens when you demand excellence, when you refuse to compromise, when you understand that you deserve the best. She turned to Mom and Dad. Thank you for teaching me that I deserved more than what other people settled for, that I didn't have to be like ... She waved vaguely in my direction. Everyone else. The crowd applauded. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. Dad beamed with pride. I smiled slightly and took another sip of water. A cousin I barely knew leaned over from across the table. That was harsh, she whispered. She's just happy, I said quietly. It's her wedding day. Still, that was about you, wasn't it? Yes. Are you okay? I nodded. I'm fine, because I was perfectly calm, just like I'd been 6 months ago when Vanessa called me, demanding to know why I hadn't offered to pay for part of her wedding. You know Mom and Dad are stretched thin, she'd said. The least you could do is contribute something. How much do you need? Well, the venue alone is $85,000. So maybe you could cover, I don't know, 10%? That's only $8,500. Only. Oh, don't be dramatic. I know you have some savings. You live in that tiny apartment. You never go anywhere. You wear the same 5 outfits. You must have some money saved. I do have savings, Vanessa. So you'll help. No. The silence on the other end had been spectacular. Then, you're seriously going to let your only sister pay for her entire wedding herself? Mom and Dad are contributing $30,000. Parents are paying for the rehearsal dinner and the honeymoon. You're not paying for it yourself. That's not the point. The point is you should want to help. You should be honored to be part of my special day. I'll be there, Vanessa. That's my contribution. My presence. She'd laughed. Actually laughed. Your presence, right. Because that's worth so much. The sister who dropped out of law school, who works some boring job no one can remember, who shows up to family events in clearance rack dresses. She'd hung up before I could respond. Now, watching her bask in the attention of 200 wealthy guests in my venue, I wondered if she'd connected the dots, if she'd noticed the name on her venue contract, if she'd even read the contract at all, or if she'd just signed where Rebecca told her to sign. The dancing started. Marcus and Vanessa's first dance was choreographed, of course, with a swing band playing live. They spun and dipped perfectly, having practiced 4 months with a professional instructor. Then came the father-daughter dance. Dad twirled Vanessa around the floor while Mom watched, crying, happy, tears. The photographer captured every moment, every angle, every perfect smile. Nobody asked me to dance. Around 10 p.m., Vanessa and Marcus made their rounds, stopping at each table to thank guests personally. When they reached table 18, Vanessa's smile was tight. Thank you so much for coming, she said to the elderly cousins, her voice warm. Then, she turned to me. And thank you for showing up. Beautiful wedding, I said. It is, isn't it? Of course, it should be, given what we're paying for it, but some things are worth the investment. She touched her diamond necklace, probably another gift from Marcus. Speaking of investments, Rebecca mentioned you asked about the venue's ownership. Hoping to book it for yourself someday? Something like that. She laughed. Oh, sweetie, this venue has a 5-year waiting list, and the deposit alone is ... Whoa, she leaned in conspiratorially. Well, more than you make in a year, I'd imagine, but it's sweet that you're dreaming big. Marcus checked his Rolex. Darling, we should greet the Hendersons before they leave. Of course. Vanessa patted my shoulder. Enjoy the rest of the evening. I know you probably don't get to experience places like this very often. They moved to the next table, leaving me sitting there with cold salmon and lukewarm judgment. My phone buzzed again. David, I've been patient, but this is painful to watch. I replied. 5 more minutes. At 10:30, Vanessa gathered everyone for the bouquet toss. All the single women were called to the dance floor. I stayed seated. "Come on," Vanessa called out, spotting me. "Even you should participate. You never know, maybe some nice man will take pity on you someday." The crowd laughed. Some of them looked uncomfortable, but most just smiled indulgently. This was Vanessa's day. She could say what she wanted. I stood up slowly and walked to the back of the group of women. Vanessa turned around, bouquet raised, counting down, 3.2.1. She threw it directly at me. Hard. Like she was aiming for my face. I caught it before it hit me. The photographer's camera flashed. Vanessa's smile was frozen in place, but her eyes were furious. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. I was supposed to be humiliated, not catching bouquets. "Well," she said loudly, recovering quickly, "I guess miracles do happen. Although catching a bouquet is one thing, finding someone who'd actually want to marry you is another." The laughter this time was uncomfortable. A few people weren't laughing at all. Marcus appeared at her side, whispering something. Vanessa nodded, then tapped her champagne glass for attention. "Everyone, I have an announcement," she said, her voice ringing across the room. "Marcus and I are so grateful you all came tonight to celebrate with us at this gorgeous venue. But I think it's important to remember that success, true success, comes from hard work and ambition. It comes from making good choices and surrounding yourself with people who elevate you." She looked directly at me. "And sometimes, that means recognizing that not everyone in your life is capable of being on your level. Some people will always be... double quotes. She paused, dramatically, beneath you. And that's okay. But we don't have to pretend otherwise. We don't have to coddle mediocrity just because it's related to us." The room was silent now. Even the waiters had stopped moving. "So I'd like to make a toast," Vanessa continued, raising her glass. "To surrounding yourself with excellence. 2. Refusing to be dragged down by people who don't have your drive, your vision, your taste. To knowing that you deserve better than that's enough," I said. My voice wasn't loud, but in the silence, it carried. Vanessa turned to me, eyebrows raised. "Excuse me?" I said. "That's enough." I pulled out my phone. "Oh, what are you going to do?" Vanessa laughed. "Call Mom. Tell her I'm being mean to you." Grow up. This is the real world. This is what happens when some of us succeed and others... She gestured at me. "Don't." I opened my texts and typed a single word to David. "Now, you know what your problem is?" Vanessa continued, emboldened by the crowd's attention. "You've always been jealous of me. Ever since we were kids, you couldn't handle that I was smarter, prettier, more ambitious, that I was going to do something with my life while you just... existed." My phone rang. I answered it. "Yes, Ms. Torres." David's voice was calm and professional. "We've received a complaint about the event currently in progress at the Grand Meridian Estate." "What kind of complaint?" I asked, loud enough for people nearby to hear. Vanessa laughed. "Oh my God, are you seriously taking a phone call during my speech? How incredibly rude." "A noise complaint and concerns about guest conduct," David continued. "As venue security, we're authorized to shut down events that violate the terms of service." "I see," I said. "What does the owner say?" "The owner," David said slowly, "has given me explicit instructions to terminate this event immediately." I lowered the phone slightly, looking at Vanessa. "The owner wants to speak to you." Her face was red. "I don't care what the owner wants. This is my wedding reception. Tell whoever that is that the main lights came up bright and harsh, replacing the romantic amber glow." The music cut off mid. 2 security guards appeared from the side doors. David walked across the dance floor in his crisp security uniform, holding a tablet. Behind him, Rebecca, the wedding planner, followed, her face pale. "Ladies and gentlemen," David's voice boomed across the room. "By order of the venue owner, this event is being terminated immediately due to violation of the Grand Meridian Estates Code of Conduct, specifically the clause prohibiting harassment and abusive behavior toward other guests." Vanessa's mouth fell open. "What? This is insane." "Rebecca?" Do something. Rebecca looked at her tablet, then at Vanessa, then at me. Her eyes widened. The owner, ... double quotes, she started, her voice shaking. The owner is me, I said quietly. The silence was absolute. Vanessa laughed, a high, slightly hysterical sound. What? No. That's not possible. You don't. You can single quotes, ... I took the tablet from David and pulled up the ownership documents. Grand Meridian Estate, LLC. Purchased in 2019 for $11.8 million. Current value approximately $12.4 million. Owner, Elena Torres. I looked at Vanessa. That's me. Marcus grabbed the tablet, scanning the documents. His face went white. This can't be real. It's very real, David said. Miss Torres has owned this property for 5 years. She personally approves every event booked here. Then why? ... Vanessa's voice cracked. Why did you let me book it? Why did you? I didn't let you do anything, I said calmly. Rebecca submitted your booking request 6 months ago. Primera approved Italiano, you signed a standard contract. The same contract everyone signs. But you knew. You knew I was getting married here. And you didn't say anything. You didn't ask. You called to demand money, not to have a conversation. And when Rebecca mentioned that you'd selected my venue, I was curious to see if you'd figure it out. Your contract has my name on it. So does the welcome packet. So does the invoice you paid. Mom pushed through the crowd, Dad right behind her. Elena, what is going on? Your daughter Vanessa has spent the last 4 hours publicly humiliating me in my own venue, I said, calling me médiocre, poor, classless, and implying I don't belong in places like this. She violated the code of conduct, so I'm terminating the event. You can't do this, Vanessa shrieked. This is my wedding. You can't just Section 12, Paragraph 4 of your contract, I said. The venue reserves the right to terminate any event where guests engage in harassment, discrimination, or abusive behavior. You've done all 3. Security will escort everyone out in the next 30 minutes. Our deposit, Marcus said quietly, the $50,000 deposit, is forfeit. Section 12, Paragraph 5. No refunds for events terminated due to code of conduct violations. Vanessa's face crumpled. You're doing this because you're jealous, because you can't stand to see me happy. I'm doing this because you humiliated me in front of 200 people, because you've spent years treating me like I'm worthless, and tonight you decided to do it publicly, because you needed to learn that actions have consequences. Elena, Dad said carefully, surely we can work this out. This is your sister's wedding day. Her reception is over. The wedding itself already happened at the church. She got married. She got her perfect ceremony. But she doesn't get to treat people like garbage in my venue. Mom's face was pale. You own this place. Since when? Since 2019. I bought it with money I made from my boring job that no one can remember. I looked at her. Did you know what my job is, Mom? She opened her mouth, closed it. Something with ... computers. I'm a software engineer. I developed a security algorithm that I licensed to 3 major tech companies. I made $80 million in licensing fees and stock options. Primera invested Italiano. I bought properties. This venue is one of 5 I own. The crowd was watching like this was a performance, which I supposed it was. You're a millionaire? Vanessa whispered. Yes, and you let me. You watched me call you poor ... double quotes. I did. Why? Because I wanted to see if you'd ever care about me for something other than money. If you'd ever call just to ask how I was doing. If you'd ever treat me like a sister instead of a disappointment. I looked around at all of them, Mom, Dad, Vanessa, Marcus, the 200 guests. Now I know the answer is no. David cleared his throat. Ms. Torres, shall we proceed with the evacuation? Yes. Everyone out in 30 minutes. The caterers can pack up the cake for the couple to take with them. Everything else stays. Our gifts, Vanessa said, will be inventoried and delivered to your home tomorrow. You'll receive a detailed list. Elena, please, Mom said. Don't do this. She's your sister. She stopped being my sister a long time ago, Mom. She just didn't bother to tell me. She showed me every day. Every dismissive comment. Every time she forgot to invite me to something. Every time she made me feel small. I looked at Vanessa. I loved you. For years, I kept trying. I kept showing up. Kept hoping you'd see me. Actually see me. But you never did. You only ever saw what I could give you. Vanessa was crying now. Real tears. Not the delicate dabbing from earlier. I didn't mean, I was just joking, ... double quotes. No, you meant it. Every word. And 200 people heard you. I nodded to David. Please escort the guests out. The evacuation took exactly 28 minutes. Guests grabbed their coats and purses, whispering urgently to each other. Some looked apologetic as they passed me. Most just looked uncomfortable, eager to leave and turn this into a story they'd tell at their own dinner parties. Marcus's parents left without speaking to anyone, their faces tight with fury. The Hendersons, a wealthy couple Marcus had been trying to impress, walked past Vanessa without a word. Mom tried 3 more times to get me to change my mind. Think about what this will do to the family. Think about how this looks. I have thought about it. For 28 years, I've thought about how it feels to be invisible in my own family. Tonight, you all got to feel invisible in mine. Dad just stared at me like he'd never seen me before. Maybe he hadn't. Maybe he'd only ever seen what he wanted to see. Vanessa stood in the middle of the empty dance floor in her $40,000 dress, mascara running down her face, her perfect hairdo collapsing. Marcus had his arm around her, but his eyes kept darting to the exit, calculating damage control. Everyone will know about this, Vanessa said. They'll all talk about how you ruined my wedding. They will, I agreed, and they'll also know why. That's the thing about having 200 witnesses, Vanessa. They all heard what you said. They all saw how you treated me. You tried to humiliate me publicly. It just turned out I had the power to respond. Rebecca approached Miss Torres, I'm so sorry. If I'd known you did nothing wrong, Rebecca, you booked a client. The client violated the terms of service. That's not your fault. Thank you for saying that. And for the record, ... double quotes, she lowered her voice. She was horrible to work with. Absolutely horrible. I almost smiled. The security team finished their sweep. David approached. Venue is clear, ma'am. Just the Chun party remaining. Thank you, David. Please escort them out as well. You're really doing this? Vanessa said. Not a question, a realization. I'm really doing this. I'll never forgive you. You never loved me to begin with, so I'm not sure what I'm losing. She had no response to that. Marcus took her arm and led her toward the exit. Mom and Dad followed, not looking back. At the door, Vanessa turned one last time. I hope you're happy, alone in your big, expensive venue. I'm not alone, I said. I have David and a wonderful team who've worked with me for years. I have friends who actually know my job title, who ask about my life, who don't measure my worth by my bank account. I have people who've earned the right to be in my life. You just never bothered to try. She left. They all left. The Grand Meridian estate, all 47 acres and 15,000 square feet of it, was silent. I walked to the windows overlooking the Pacific. The moon was full, casting silver light across the water. In the reflection, I could see the empty reception hall behind me, the abandoned tables with their gold-rimmed plates and crystal glasses. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I was at table 7. What your sister said was inexcusable. You handled that with more grace than she deserved. If you ever need a reference for future event clients, I'm happy to provide one. Dr. Amanda Winters. Another text came in. Table 12 here. Your sister is a piece of work. You're amazing. Jason Chun, then another. I'm the groom's cousin. I've been telling Marcus for months. She's toxic. You just proved it. Thank you. David Pierce. My phone started buzzing continuously. Texts from guests, most of them supportive, many offering business contacts, several asking if I was free for coffee sometime. David appeared beside me. That was intense. That was necessary. How long have you been planning this? I wasn't. I genuinely hoped she'd be kind, that maybe her wedding day would soften her, that she'd see me standing there and remember we're sisters. I took a breath, but she didn't. So I adapted. For what it's worth, you gave her every chance. She chose cruelty. She did. I looked at him. Clear my calendar for the next 3 days. I need time to process this. Already done. And I've scheduled our standard post-event maintenance, so you've got the venue to yourself if you need it. Thank you, David. He left me alone with the moon and the ocean and the very expensive wreckage of my sister's perfect day. Epilogue. The story went viral, of course. Someone at the wedding worked for a gossip blog. By Monday morning, woman kicks out sister's wedding from own venue was trending on 3 platforms. The details got somewhat distorted. Some versions had me literally throwing Vanessa out. Others claimed I'd planned it all along as revenge. But the core story remained. Sister publicly humiliates sister, finds out sister owns the venue, faces immediate consequences. Vanessa called on Tuesday. I let it go to voicemail. She called 17 more times that week. I never answered. Mom called too. You need to apologize. The family is torn apart. The family was torn apart years ago. Mom, you just didn't notice, because I was the only one getting damaged. She hung up. Marcus's parents sent a legal letter demanding the return of the $50,000 deposit. My attorney responded with the signed contract, the code of conduct violations, and security footage with audio. We never heard from them again. The wedding industry noticed. I started getting interview requests from event planners, venue owners, and luxury wedding magazines. The owner, who ended her own sister's reception, became a case study in boundaries and business. Rebecca called to apologize again and to ask if she could still book events at my venue. You're the most professional venue owner I've worked with, and I refuse to lose that relationship over one terrible client. I appreciate that, Rebecca. Yes, please keep booking. Just maybe screen for family members next time. She laughed. It was good to hear. 3 months later, I got a text from Vanessa. Marcus left me. His parents never forgave me for the scandal. The wedding photos are unusable. Everyone knows. Everyone talks about it. Are you happy now? I didn't respond. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't anything. I'd felt nothing about Vanessa for weeks. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even pity. Just distance. I'd learned something important that night. Family isn't about blood. It's about respect. And Vanessa had never respected me. Not when I was invisible, and not when I turned out to be powerful. She only respected what I could give her or what I could take away. That's not love. That's transaction. I still own the Grand Meridian estate. I still book weddings here, 3 or 4 every month, for couples who sign the contract and follow the rules. It's a beautiful venue. People have beautiful days here. Just not my sister. I visit the ocean view windows sometimes, late at night, when the venue is empty, and I think about that night. About the bouquet I caught. About the look on Vanessa's face when she realized I owned the place where she'd chosen to tear me down. About how, sometimes, the best revenge isn't planning something elaborate. It's just quietly being more than people assumed you were, and letting them find out the hard way.